Good morning. My name is June Efemenko. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am your pulpit host today. On behalf of this congregation, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Huntsville. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of Native tribes. Whether you have joined us online or are here in our sanctuary, we are glad to have you here with us today in the sacred time we choose to be together. We are an open community of learning, caring, and justice-making. You are welcome here, every part of you, just the way you are. Our congregation is served by our minister, the Reverend Jamie Simon, who is currently away on sabbatical leave. Today we have Reverend Julie, who is serving as our sabbatical minister and is available for pastoral care or to answer questions about Unitarian Universalism. She may be reached by contacting the office. If you are a newcomer, please sign our guest book in the foyer to receive our weekly newsletter. Also in the foyer, underneath the name tag display, are hearing assist devices available for anyone who needs them. Also, please take a moment to silence your electronic devices. If you have a joy, sorrow, or important milestone that you would like included in our circle of prayers, our circle of candles, and included in the pastoral prayer, please write it on one of these white cards found in the hymnal rack in front of you and place it in the offering basket at the appropriate time. For community news and events, check our email newsletter, website, or the paper insert in your order of service. In case of inclement weather or other emergencies, notices of cancellation of services and activities will be communicated via church-wide email and on our Facebook page. This week, we have two additional announcements. First, the altar flowers this morning are given by Ward Welty in memory of his beloved wife, Jane. The floral arrangement was made by Melody Breyer. And then we have another announcement.
Good morning. My name is Brad Korb, and my pronouns are he and him. I am your social justice coordinator, and in that effort, you may remember that every December we partner with the Alabama Hispanic Association to provide gifts and a dinner to local Hispanic families. As you may guess, our Hispanic community is being terrorized right now, I'll say, and there are a lot of families who are in desperate need of food, clothing. They're getting behind on their utilities because they're afraid to go to work. So we will be collecting supplies and providing those to specific families that the AHA is recommending. So if you're interested in helping out, like I said, that could be food, could be clothing for the children, it could be monetary donations. Please see me after the service, and there will be more information in the newsletter this coming week. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. After our service, everyone is welcome to join us in the fellowship hall over here for coffee and snacks. And now I would like to invite Reverend Jamie to ring our singing bowl to help us enter into our service more deeply. Finally, having gathered in a shared quest for truth, meaning, and purpose, let us light our chalice with these words from Jennifer Grayson. We come together every week, bound not by a creed or a mutual desire to please one God or many gods, yet we are drawn together by a belief that how we are in the world, who we are together, matters. We light this chalice together in the knowledge that love, not fear, can change this world. And now, to center yourself and quiet your mind, we will have music for centering, followed by our thread song, which we will sing twice through.
Good morning, friends. My name is Reverend Julie Conradi. My pronouns are she or my name, and it is my joy to welcome you this morning to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Huntsville. Normally, I am saying a different city after that name, namely Birmingham. Let's settle in with these centering words from Elena Westbrook. In a world ravaged by violence, by hatred, by conflicts that seem eternal and insoluble, sometimes the only thing we can do is be still for a moment, to remind ourselves what is real. The sun that rose this morning, the dirt under our feet, the air whispering in and out of our lungs. This hour, try just to be present in each moment as it unfolds. Your simple attention is what makes these moments holy. Now, as you know, it is stewardship time here in Huntsville, and I know very much that you want this to be completed and wonderful by the time Reverend Jamie returns. And so with that enthusiasm, I would invite Cubby Lash to come forward and give us our pledge drive moment. Come on down.
Good morning. My name's Cubby Lash. My pronouns are she and her, and I have been a member of UUCH since I moved here about 4 years ago. And anyway, I was asked why I give. I can think of a lot of reasons, but one of them is because I can. I am lucky enough to be working right now and have enough that I can share. And to me, it hasn't always been that way. And so that's one of the reasons why I do give. Because I'm grateful is another reason. I'm grateful that I have a community here that strives to do things differently. And being new to the South, it's really good for me to have a home where I can feel welcomed just by showing up. I don't have to do anything or be anything. And I appreciate that about our fellowship and about this faith. And the third reason is I wrote down, it's all about me. It makes me feel good. It really does. To be a part of something, to contribute to our mission and our goals. And like I said originally, because I can. So, bringing it all around. You may not know me because most of the time I volunteer with the tech team up in the balcony up there. And that's one of the things that I get to do here, and I enjoy that a lot. I get to be of service, and I also have never spoken from this pulpit. And so with that, I'm going to go away.
Thank you, Cubby, for sharing your love of this church. Our opening hymn this morning is hymn number 128, For All That Is Our Life. Please rise in body or in voice as we sing together.
After our first hymn, it is our tradition to sing our doxology found on the laminated blue cards in the back of the hymnal rack in front of you. After the doxology, we turn toward the center aisle to face one another as we speak aloud our words of aspiration, also found on the back of the blue card. Let us sing our doxology. Spirit of this church, may the quest for truth be its sacrament and service be its prayer, to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration. We now invite anyone who is young or young at heart to join us at the front of the sanctuary for the story of all ages.
Good morning, Avery. My name is Jess Celaya. I'm the Director of Religious Education of Children and Youth here at UUCH. This month, our theme is trust, and this story talks about trusting in others. The Lion and the Mouse. Once, as a lion lay sleeping in his den, a naughty little mouse ran up his tail, onto his back, and up his mane, and danced and jumped on his head. The lion woke up. The lion grabbed the mouse and, holding him in his large claws, roared in anger. "How dare you wake me up? Don't you know that I am king of the beast? Anyone who disturbs my rest deserves to die, and I shall kill you and eat you." "Oh, no, please don't eat me." The mouse begged and begged for him to let him go. "Don't eat me. I did not mean to wake you up. It was a mistake. I was only playing. Please let me go. And I promise I will be your friend forever. Who knows, but maybe one day I could save your life." The lion looked at the tiny mouse and laughed. "You saved my life? What an absurd idea," he said scornfully. "But you have made me laugh and put me in a good mood again, so I shall let you go." And the lion opened his claws and let the mouse go free. "Oh, thank you, Your Majesty," squeaked the mice, and scurried away as fast as he could. A few days later, the lion was caught in a hunter's snare, and struggle as he might, he couldn't break free and became even more entangled in the net of ropes. He let out a roar of anger that shook the forest. Every animal heard it, including the tiny mouse. "My friend the lion is in trouble," cried the mouse, and he ran as fast as he could in the direction of the lion's roar. And soon he found the lion trapped in the hunter's snare. "Hold still, Your Majesty," squeaked the mouse. "I'll have you out in a jiffy." And without further delay, the mouse began to nibble through the ropes with his sharp little teeth, and very soon the lion was free. "I did not believe that you could be of use to me, little mouse, but today you saved my life," the lion said humbly. "It was my turn to help you, sire," answered the mouse. So even the weak and small may be of help to those much mightier than themselves. And with that, let us now sing our children out.
We are the Unitarian Universalist Church of Huntsville, a proudly inclusive spiritual community. Together, we build a broader search for meaning, a bolder form of compassion, and a braver voice for justice. If you would like to support us with a monetary contribution, we would be grateful. Your generosity helps us support our various ministries, pay our staff a fair wage, and partner with organizations that share our UU values. You can donate online using the QR code on your order of service, or you can put cash or check donations in the offering baskets. Completed Circle of Candles cards, those are these white cards, should also be placed in the offering basket at this time. You're also invited to come forward during this time and quietly drop a stone into the bowl of water here next to the ramp in honor or memory of what you hold in your heart. It is through your generosity that we serve our mission here at UUCH. With gratitude, we now receive the offering.
Spirit of life, source of compassion and connection, join with us as we enter into this time of meditation and intention. Hold us as we hold in care and concern those joys and sorrows shared in our community. We offer loving kindness for the dumpster fire that is our national and state governments. We offer our loving kindness for every little action, no matter how small, that brings beauty or joy or peace or happiness into our lives. And now we share the loving kindness of our community. Jerry shares with joy, we made it through this Saturday without damage to our home and neighbors. That is a wonderful joy for many of us to celebrate this morning. And Andrew celebrates a joy that I won second place in an innovation contest at work. So congratulations, Andrew. Let us be moved to compassion for all that has been shared within this beloved community and for all that will remain silent, unspoken in our hearts. Please join with me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, eternal mystery that holds us close, receive the meditations of our hearts this day. We come together in this quiet moment to unify our hearts again toward the clarion call of our time. May justice and equity guide us to great connection, a greater truth. Our part is just as great, to approach dismantling systems of oppression within us in order for us all to be free. To know that when I cherish and tend to the divine spark within me, when I know in my bones that I am worthy of love and whole just as I am, that there is greater potential for mutual understanding and care. Love is not scarce. Our ability to extend compassion and grace can be. I place my hand over my heart and know that I can feel the spirit of life within me. I invite you to place your hand over your heart and feel the spirit of life within you. The spirit of life is divine within us. The spirit of life is here. This is the beginning of justice and equity when we go within in order to be of service in our communities and our world. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. And now will you join us in singing our responsive hymn, number 1009, Meditation on Breathing. The reading this morning is by the Reverend Karen G. Johnston. In our lived lives, Family comes in different shapes and sizes and constellations. It is in this variety, this diversity, that our lives are made fuller and our individual selves are made whole. It is in this variety, it is in this diversity that we look back to the ancestors, recognizing no monolith, but instead a rich texture that informs the foundation beneath us. It is in this variety, it is in this diversity that we proceed forward to the future, choosing to be good ancestors ourselves rather than dutiful descendants. If we live our lives in recognition of this truth, there is no reason to act as if this is not true in death. Let us live into the truth so many of us lean on in times of loss, that love lives on even in death. As this is the truth of this family in life, so it is true of this family in mourning, giving free rein to all who willingly offer themselves as voice and embodiment of abundant love. So may it be true for all. Thank you, Reverend Johnston, for this reading. And with that, I invite you to welcome your choir for their special music.
together, perfect from the start. I am a part of you, you are a part of me, and so together we are one body. I am inside your head, you are inside my heart. We fit together, perfect from the start. I am a part of you, you are a part of me, and so together we are one body. I am inside your head, you are inside my heart. We fit together, perfect from the start.
Nice job, choir. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. I love that song. So amazing. As June mentioned earlier, I'm the Reverend Julie Conradi. I am the settled minister of the UU churches of Birmingham and Tuscaloosa. Yes, and I like to cause trouble in Alabama. So some of you may have heard that before. I'm not bringing that sermon today because as of yesterday, I started my sabbatical. And so I am, using my energy wisely there. But Jamie and I and many other colleagues have an agreement that when we go on sabbatical, we support one another and trade services. And so Jamie will be speaking in Birmingham later in May to support me during my sabbatical. So that is our arrangement here. But I'm delighted to be with you here this morning. I was with you back in 2018 when I was in search. This is the pulpit that I preached from in order to get the job in Birmingham. So I am delighted to be back with you. So this morning, I invite you to think about, for our opening question, when was the last time you learned something new? A couple years ago, my family was celebrating my birthday. Again, they have to do that, I guess. And I'm not a fan of surprises. So I was prying my family for details all day so I could be ready for whatever was planned. And they were not doing it very well. They were not telling me what was going on. And all I was told was, we have plans at 5:30 p.m. And I said, that's a little strange timing, but okay. So at 5:30 p.m., I am ushered into the kitchen by my husband and two adorable children who are here with me today. And there is an elaborate setup on the kitchen table. The table had dishes everywhere with fruit and cheese and snacks, a little charcuterie board, as it were, but it also had canvases and art supplies. And there was technology set up for a Zoom meeting, and I quickly learned that I was going to sit down and take a 2-hour watercolor painting class, with the end result being a painting of my pet. Now, I'll be honest, I love to learn new things. But at the end of the day, without any said preparation for said class, I thought for half a second, I really had no desire to learn how to use watercolors. I'm not that kind of creative. I'm a sewing creative, have a template creative, but I'm not that kind of creative. But my kids and my spouse were so excited that they had gifted me this class, and I do love to learn, so we dove into the class together. And the end result wasn't that bad. Actually, you could tell it was my beautiful black cat at the end of the painting. We as Unitarian Universalists are people who love to learn. That's part of why we're able to adapt to all of the social justice movements that come about in our world, because we learn new things and we know how to adapt. Now, John Harvard, you may have heard of him before, he was a Unitarian minister. And we recognize his name because he is the namesake of the oldest university in the United States. John Harvard donated his books after he died to ensure the survival of this university that was founded just 2 years earlier in 1636, way before our country was put together. The Puritan leaders who were a part of founding Harvard hoped that it would be a place of advanced learning and perpetuate it to posterity, dreading to leave an illiterate ministry to the churches when our present ministers shall lie in the dust. Our spiritual ancestors wanted to make sure that Unitarians would have well-educated clergy, like Reverend Jamie, who is also a Harvard grad, if you didn't know that. And because of John Harvard's estate gift, he is now known as a benefactor of learning and religion in America. Harvard University, as the oldest university in the country, is the blueprint for institutions who can change, although the change is often slower than we would all like. So among the red brick buildings at Harvard University, you may have seen the shield. And the shield is a red background which shows 3 books. And each of the books holds part of the words veritas, meaning truth. Now, in newer versions of the Harvard logo, all 3 of the books are held open, with the pages facing out. But on older buildings, there's a slight difference. That bottom book is actually turned over with its spine exposed to everyone. Now, contemporaries explained it as acknowledgement that not all knowledge has been discovered, while others claimed it was a reminder to look at both sides of an issue. This replicated the original shield, which was created in 1648, sketched in the middle of a board meeting, a sketch that would not see the light of day for over 200 years. For decades, Harvard's motto was not veritas, but rather in Christi gloriam, a Latin phrase meaning for the glory of Christ. It would take Josiah Quincy, a Unitarian president of Harvard, who rediscovered that original motto and shield while doing some research for one of his classes, to change this centuries-old tradition at Harvard. Veritas and the shield reemerged during the 200th anniversary of the school in 1836. And during Quincy's presidency, Veritas and the shield were official in all university branding. After his presidency, the university again reverted to a Christian motto, Christo et Ecclesiae, or for Christ in the church. It would take Harvard professor of medicine and poet Oliver Wendell Holmes writing a scathing poem which encouraged the university to let thine earliest symbol be thy last. That debate between those mottos and those shields feels ever present today as we are battling Christian nationalism both in our federal government and at the state level. For those of you who may not know, we have 2 bills going through Alabama State Legislature, one of which would require all students to hear a Judeo-Christian prayer at the start of the school day, and another placing the 10 Commandments in our schoolhouses. So these debates have happened throughout time. Now, throughout the debate over this motto, folks of different philosophies flipped that 3rd book back and forth. And in modern times, that open book showing the availability and accessibility of all knowledge has stayed open. Now, Josiah Quincy, our Unitarian ancestor, was one of those who turned the book to show its spine. Quincy and Holmes knew that there was still more to be discovered, and they wanted to depict that in the oldest university of the land. And as we've learned over and over and are reminded of, we do not have all knowledge of what is out there in the universe. We don't even have knowledge of everything that is happening at the depths of our oceans, although we are starting to see some of those discoveries and seeing those fascinating creatures that dwell in the depths is amazing to see. Now, 2 years ago, and I realize this is controversial, because you all may not realize this, but in the world of Unitarian Universalism, this is known as the Church of the Rocket Scientists. Yeah, I don't know if it's true. You can tell me later, but so I'm going to bring up something, and just know that I'm open to what you have to say later. So 2 years ago, we had 3 unidentified flying objects flying over U.S. air. Do you remember this? And we have since had subsequent congressional panels on unidentified aerial phenomena. And both of those instances have proven that despite our police state and our agencies focused on international diplomacy, our government somehow watched as a Chinese spy balloon traveled the length of our country. You remember this? Now, officials watched as that balloon launched from Hainan Island near China's southern coast. They watched as it traveled toward Guam. We're supposed to care about them. They're one of our territories. They watched it change directions and fly over Alaska's islands through Canada until it was eventually shot down in South Carolina. And then 2 more balloons appeared and were subsequently shot down out of the sky. One of them, at least as I remember, was theorized to be a Boy Scout project, but neither of those have really been identified. And we just went on with our 24-hour news cycle. And since those appearances, NBC Nightly News has reported even more extraterrestrial craft has been spotted. What does it mean for us as Unitarian Universalists when unexplainable events happen? Because we as Unitarian Universalists are the second most educated religious group in the country. We are second to the Hindus, in case you're curious. And yet we as Unitarian Universalists believe as part of our values that there is always more to learn, that we do not have closed off learning, we are lifelong learners. 90% of Unitarian Universalists have had some college, and there's an internal pride that exists in our denomination around that. We pride ourselves on our principle for our quest for truth and meaning, on our highly educated clergy, on our scientifically researched guest speakers, and on our comprehensive sex education program for children and youth. Yes, it is something to be proud of. We work really hard. And if we aren't careful, that academic grandiosity can overshadow our other value of pluralism, acceptance of one another, encouragement of spiritual growth in our congregations. We sometimes struggle as an association to welcome and include folks whose education is based on life experience, whose life prevents them from a formal education, whose economic status prevented them from extended schooling. We have some work to do in accepting our folks who do not look or think like typical UUs, whatever that means, including different educational endeavors. And yes, I see the irony here of talking about Harvard in the same sermon of encouraging all of us to be aware of problematic academic elitism. And yet, with all that is going on in our world today, sometimes it helps to recognize some people are experts in a situation and some people are not. Not that I'm pointing anyone out. Our value of pluralism encourages us to encourage spiritual growth in our congregations, the very nature of which looks different to diverse people in our congregations, to go beyond learning facts or history and to actively work to nourish our souls. In this day and age, that is what we should be focused on. Now, I know some of you are objecting to the word spiritual because you are doggedly humanist UUs. Do we have any of those in the room? Yep, got some hands raised. Now, spiritual in my mind, and this is an official definition, means relating to or affecting the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things. To be spiritual is to connect those inner pieces to what makes us human, and at the same time reflects that we are star stuff. Now, I often preach on Leonardo da Vinci, who I would argue would be a Unitarian Universalist today, but he's also very much a great humanist. And he very much interacted in the world in ways that I consider spiritual, but to most people would be considered quite secular. It's really just a perspective and a vantage point. Some of Leonardo da Vinci's spiritual practices were cultivating curiosity, learning from his mistakes, and appreciating the interconnectedness of all things. Now, many people who come to UU spaces are new to our tradition, and it is so refreshing to be away from whatever it is you came from for a long time. Is it not? Do you remember that movement, those of you who were not born in this? That is enough. Finding a label for yourself that you are comfortable with, or being in a space where you don't have to make any major theological decisions, is freeing. I speak with UUs all the time who say, I'm so glad to be in this community where I can fully be my blank, interword, whatever, self. They usually are saying atheist to me in Birmingham, and I'll respond, that's great. You've decided you're an atheist. Okay, now what are you doing to explore, to expand, to deepen your life's journey? Your work is not over when you find that label. It's a great step to find yourself in a community that is inclusive of your thoughts and will give you the freedom to question or explore. Where I want to challenge you is to take that next step, to not let freedom from whatever become the final step of your spiritual journey. We are all on a path exploring the nuances of our individual belief systems, wrestling with the big questions together, and experimenting with other techniques to be more present. All of those are so important in this vital time. It is equally important that you are also able to articulately and succinctly describe this community to people who come across your path. And taking the time to craft your own Unitarian Universalist elevator speech will come in handy. I'm one of those strange UU evangelists who believe that we are not all here. There are more UUs out in Huntsville that don't know you exist yet, and they need to know where their home is. Now, we Unitarian Universalists in the South, especially in the current times, have an important quest to find those like-hearted folks and to bring them here, to let them know that there is a place for community and belonging even here in Huntsville, Alabama. Is that right? I had the honor of attending an event with Imani Perry, who wrote Breathe, a Letter to My Sons, one of our UUA common reads, and she was also the Ware lecturer at General Assembly in 2023. Her book is called South to America, a journey below the Mason-Dixon to understand the soul of a nation. She discussed how living in the South with its history is not a burden, but more importantly, a responsibility. Learning the stories and perspectives of others, especially those who do not look like us or think like us or live like us, is one way that we pursue spiritual growth. And spiritual growth in our congregations means many different things to many different people. It could mean attending service even when you're tired. Some of you may be there today. Or maybe it means attending service even if you don't like the message. It means attending service even when your minister is on sabbatical. It means attending a small group within the church, connecting with others, planning a pilgrimage or a learning experience with the intent to learn together. Spiritual growth can also mean adopting spiritual practices into your individual daily routines. And when we regularly engage in spiritual practices, we may even enter a flow state, a rejuvenating and focused mental state, allowing our understanding to go deeper, to connect with ourselves, our world, or other people on a deeper level. This flow state is depicted very creatively in the 2020 Pixar film Soul. How many of you have seen Soul? It is a great film. It is animated, so that may be what led some of you to not watch it yet, but Soul reaches deep into the purpose of human existence and the beginning and end of life. Joe Gardner, who is voiced by Jamie Foxx, is a musician who dies in an accident the same day he earns his big break. Now, he fights death while in a comatose state, venturing on a hero's journey, eventually accepting that his time has arrived. And along the way, he's introduced to a place called the Zone, where people who are pursuing their passions permeate the temporal plane, who are so caught up in what they are doing in that moment that all their stress melts away. What is it that puts you into that flow state? Joe sees musicians and artists and others who are experiencing the zone. And for some of us, we need to find what it is, what spiritual practice takes us into the zone. Is it meditation? Is it walking a labyrinth? Is it being in community with other people? Is it serving those who need help? What does the zone look like for you? Where is that flow state? Spiritual practices and finding that flow state exist in every religion to some extent. And many rituals from other religions have been recreated in Unitarian Universalism due to the spiritual fluidity of our people. Just like this morning when we rang the singing bowl and I apologize, I did not have more practice to do it to what it should have been done. The Catholic and Buddhist traditions teach us that prayer and meditation can be benefited by holding a string of beads to rub as you think through all those things in a very grounding practice. Walking a labyrinth, as I've mentioned, even just a walk in the woods, sitting in the backyard of your church, forces us to look at this giant blue marble beneath our feet, hearing the sounds of nature and inspiring the release of serotonin. Perhaps the last few weeks have brought you back to this need for grounding exercises. We all need to have our feet planted as firmly as possible. We are in the middle of Lent. It started last week, day before, I don't know, sometime. It happened. And while the countdown of Easter is of little importance to me, as I've just revealed, I have found that honoring Lent with the UU Lent calendar published every year is an attainable short-term spiritual practice that encourages me to think about important UU values. How many of you have heard or seen of the UU Lent calendar? Not a soul. Okay. I'm going to encourage you after this to get on Google, the all-knowing, and type in UU Lent, and you're going to find a little calendar that's for 2025 that is written by a couple UU folks that gives you a word of the day. And it gives you a word to consider. It encourages those on social media to take a picture of whatever that is for the day and then to share it on social media. Or if you're not on social media, you could take that word for reflection or to write in your journal. And there's no punishment or guilt if you forget a day or two. This is UU Lent after all. So even if you start today in the middle of Lent, it's fine. It's fine. Just try it out. Start whenever you want, end whenever you want. We don't care. It's fine. Today's word on the calendar is equity. So your challenge that I'm giving you today is to consider and describe ways that you experience equity in your life or community with a photo or words. I hope you'll consider joining me in this. It's really tangible, it's really simple, it doesn't take a lot of time, but it gives us that space of grounding and purpose. And we also, those of you likely know, we have a UU bookstore called In Spirit, and they have lots of books on spiritual practices. There's also adult enrichment curriculum that you could even do when Reverend Jamie's gone. There's nothing against that. And there's something called UU Wellspring that formed a few years ago that is a program that congregations use for leadership development and spiritual growth. And maybe that's something you want to explore for your community as something to start when Reverend Jamie gets back. Individually or together, our job as Unitarian Universalists is to encourage one another in spiritual growth, whatever that means for you. One of the gifts my congregation gave me as I was going on sabbatical is a squishmallow chameleon, because that's what I tell them I am as the minister. When I'm talking to the humanists, I'm supposed to be helping the humanists on their spiritual path. When I'm talking to the pagans, I'm supposed to help the pagans on their spiritual path, and all the other iterations between. No matter how you came into this community, your spiritual quest continues to deepen your life and find meaning, and to help one another make those connections. We as Unitarian Universalists are unique in our continued quest for truth and meaning. We are never at a point of saying we now have all the answers. We just have more questions. Growing spiritually does not mean you have to believe in something that you don't. Growing spiritually does mean learning from other people, occasionally trying something new, and recognizing those practices that put us into the zone or bring mental clarity and focus or tap deep into the human experience. Those are worth practicing. Let us find ways to challenge one another without compromising our values. Let us accept one another's spiritual journeys, and as lifelong learners, continue our quest to learn more about ourselves, our beliefs, each other, and the world around us. Let us evolve together. Amen, and blessed be. Please join me in a fabulous spiritual practice that is found in your hymnal, specifically singing in body or in voice, hymn 1001, Breaths. Friends, our worship service has come to a close. Thank you for having me with you this morning. I will be at the back of the sanctuary to greet you, and you're invited to go into the fellowship hall for snacks, as mentioned earlier, and conversation. For those of you on the live stream, thank you for being here this morning. We are so glad you are here. And now let us leave this sacred time with these parting words from Joel Miller. Let our lives be a prayer that waters dry souls, mends broken hearts, refuses to be terrorized, seeks this world's beauty, and carries us through its storms. Amen. Blessed be. And let us go out singing with our rite of community, number 1039, Be Thou With Us.